Rise of the Beast is perhaps the most polarizing Transformers film, as I've seen a lot of fans who absolutely hated it, and quite a few who really liked it. And well, not to play both sides of the fence here, but I see the argument for both lines of thought. Rise of the Beast is certainly a mixed bag in my eyes, so I thought it'd be interesting to drop a video analyzing some of the pros and cons of the movie, and which side of the fence I ultimately land more on. I saw Rise of the Beast opening weekend with a few friends, and the theater was actually quite rowdy and audibly cheered at a few moments, such as Bumblebee returning in the third act and when Noah put on the exosuit. And when you go to see any kind of big action film, fun moments like these are a huge part of the experience, as these will ultimately serve as the defining moments of the film and will be what it becomes best known for. And the hype feeling you get from these moments and get to share with others in the theater is truly what cinema is all about. But as far as these two moments go, they just didn't quite hit for me. With Bumblebee, well, I made an entire video on the oversaturation of that character. Check it out if you haven't already. But to make a long story short, I think he actually should have died. They've written themselves into a corner with this character, and Scourge truly killing him off for good could have established Scourge as a real threat moving forward. And that is another issue I have with this film. I think they should have trilogied Scourge and kept him around. This franchise tends to either kill off their villains too soon, like with Lockdown and Scourge, or they keep them around way too long, like with Megatron. But with Scourge, they created a really intimidating villain, voiced really well by Peter Dinklage, so having him around for multiple films and making Prime really work for his revenge would have made Scourge's ultimate death a way bigger deal. And keeping Bumblebee dead would only aid in this, as it provides Prime and the other Autobots with plenty of motivation to seek out their vengeance on Scourge. Stepping away from the Transformers in this movie, I think the human characters actually could make or break this film for fans. So how much you sympathize with both of them will likely play a huge role in how much you like Rise of the Beasts. And well, I appreciate that they at least tried to flesh out Noah as a character, but for me it just didn't quite work as well as it could have. Specifically, the storyline with his brother's illness was written really heavy-handedly, and that sort of deeply emotional storyline is a really stark contrast to how flat-out goofy some other scenes with Noah were, like when he breaks into Steel Mirage, as he would have literally been caught or spotted like 5 times over, and it's just unbelievable, even for a Transformers film. In general, I just feel like this franchise has always been a bit of a double-edged sword when it comes to writing human characters, as they'll do some good things, like giving relatable and interesting backstories, and then follow that up with a ridiculous and over-the-top scene that isn't nearly as funny as it wants to be. So in idea, I really like what they were trying to do with Noah as a character, but in execution, I don't think they did a great job balancing the tone of his story. Drifting back to the Transformers in this movie, I think that Optimus Prime's character arc is likely another big sticking point on whether or not you liked the film, and personally, I didn't care for it. The biggest issue I have with Optimus is that he just kinda sucks as a leader. Like, why would you choose Earth as your rendezvous if you had no way to get off the planet? The fact that they've been stuck here and hiding for 7 years makes Optimus feel like a really dumb leader. So to then start the film with him acting old and grumpy, honestly makes him kind of unlikable. He doesn't like or respect humans, is mad about being stuck on Earth despite the fact that it's his fault. Like, why am I supposed to be rooting for this guy? Now, by the end of the film, he does kind of return to the classic version of Optimus Prime, and this character arc was written kind of decently, but I just disagree with giving Optimus this sort of character arc in the first place. I think the film tried too hard to make Noah and Optimus mirrors of each other, when I think their dynamic would have actually worked better if Optimus was the classic, caring for the life of all sentient beings version of Optimus, who then had to slowly gain Noah's trust through his actions. As this would set it apart from other Transformers films, because both Sam and Charlie are deeply trusting of their Autobot companions, so having Noah be extremely mistrusting is a great and fresh direction to go in, but giving Optimus the same mistrusting qualities kinda throws this dynamic off, because if they both don't trust each other, well then coming together is going to be a huge hurdle to climb. And ultimately, when the two finally join forces, it doesn't really feel like it's that emotionally earned. It's more so they're just coming together because they have to. Now for a big positive, I actually really liked the addition of the Maximals into the live action franchise. I think getting to see the Maximals and a comic accurate version of Unicron on the big screen was really cool and helped deepen the Transformers film lore. And seeing the destruction of the Maximals' homeworld definitely helped set big stakes for the film. And the Ape-Link fight set up how imposing of a force Scourge can be. Though I must say, the fact that Ape-Link didn't transform during the fight was pretty idiotic. But just having more Transformers in the mix on the big screen is definitely a welcome sight. And I wish the franchise would go more into this direction actually, as I feel like fans come to see Transformers when they go see a Transformers film. So this large focus on making human characters with these elaborate backstories will ultimately always be a weakness of these films. And after 7 live action films requiring the Transformers to work with humans, maybe it's time for a change. I mean, I would personally love to see a live action film set on Cybertron with nothing but Transformers. Maybe that's just wishful thinking though. Just to briefly touch on Mirage, I thought he was fine. Is he just a Bumblebee who can talk? Yeah, kind of. But I found him to be entertaining and funny enough when he was on screen, and the bond between Mirage and Noah worked fairly well. All in all, I liked a lot of the narrative directions that Rise of the Beasts attempted to go in, adding the Maximals, and creating Scourge into a massive threat, but ultimately the execution of these ideas just wasn't great, and I have to analyze the film based on what is actually here, and not what could have been. So I think Rise of the Beasts is a very middle-of-the-road Transformers film, kind of mediocre to be honest. It's definitely better than Age of Extinction and The Last Knight, but not on the same level as Bumblebee or Transformers 1 and 3. To me, Rise of the Beast is on the same tier as Revenge of the Fallen. Both are flawed but enjoyable, with good action sequences, but not the best execution in all of their plot directions. If you made it this far, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this analysis of Transformers Rise of the Beasts, please consider dropping a like or subscribing, and remember, this is just my opinion, so if you agree, disagree, or just have some strong thoughts, as always, I'd love to hear them in the comments.